Hey guys, Sam here at NA Studios. Today I want to take a look at Logic Pro, specifically automation. There's some great features within Logic to do with automation, some great little tips that I can show you, some tricks to help you get around it a bit better. As always, make sure you hit subscribe, make sure you hit like, and check out the rest of what we've got going on. If you're into drum samples, make sure you check out my snare drum sample pack. This is Rock Snare Pack 1. You can check it out in the description below. Let's get back into it. Alright, so one of my favourite things about automation is how we can completely change the sound of a track, we can completely change what's going on, we can completely change the whole kind of feel of it. I want to show you two different ways that I've got this track starting. This is way number one. It's alright, but when the vocals come in, it doesn't really kick in that much. So here's what I've done. I've put some automation on an EQ on an instruments bus, and take a listen to this now. Loads better. I felt that it didn't really kick in when the vocals kicked in, so we needed to make it so that in relative terms it kicked in more. It doesn't actually kick in more, it's just that we've made the bit before it not kick in as much. So the way I've done that is on my automation channel on my instruments bus. So I've taken the vocals out, I've just sent all my instruments to one bus, absolutely everything that isn't vocals basically. And it's all going to this one bus, and then I've put an EQ on this bus. And what that then does is we've got the low cut automated, so it's taking out some of the low end, but that's kind of ramping up, and then the high cut is ramping up as well. So you're getting this kind of widening of the sound as it comes in. You're getting just the low end, but then as it progresses, you're getting a bit more bottom end and a bit more top end. The idea that I wanted was that if you're kind of walking up the stairs to a club and then this band is playing, then as you walk through the door and the vocals sound, it all just kind of hits in. That's really what I was going for. And I've been able to turn this off completely just as we go into the main section where the vocals come in. So a really handy way to just add some more kick when you come in, add some more kind of punch. The second thing is just a bit of an ergonomic thing when you should use automation and when you probably shouldn't use automation. I see so many times people using automation just to fade out a region, but what's the point? There's absolutely no reason to do that when we've got the handy T menu, as I call it here. So if you click T, you've got all of your tools here, and you can just select the fade tool. So if you want to use your mouse, you can just click on A, but I tend to just go press T and then press A, and I can just go to a region and I can just go, there you go. Just fade it out. You can also set it up so it does it automatically. So you just go to the top left or the top right of the corner and you can then fade it in and out. But what you then can't do is you can't alter the kind of angle of the fade or the slope of the fade. So press T, press A, and you're going to get that, and you can just go in, put the fade in, and then come down to the center of it and you can fade it in and fade it out. So you can make it like a steep curve or not so steep curve, whatever you want to do. Such a handy thing to be able to do that. You don't need to go into automation, you don't need to mess around with automation, because the thing about automation is that it's great when you need it, but sometimes it can kind of get in the way, which is what we're going to look at now. Number 3, this is when you should automate volume and when you should not automate volume. So something that I see time and time again is we're going to automate just this one section, just on a string part, just whatever. We're going to automate the volume, you can see over here. We're going to bring it down for that section, let's say. Which is cool, all right, that's what we want to do. But then if in relative terms we want to turn up the volume of it, then as soon as we press play, watch over here, it's just going to snap back down again. So if we automate volume, then we kind of lose control over the volume fader. I can say with absolute certainty, I never ever automate volume, because it's just completely pointless, because you're just losing all that. There's some stuff you can do with like relative and absolute automation now, but just from coming from Logic use a few versions ago, I find it so much easier just to go and put a gain plugin on every single channel. What I tend to do is any channel I'm going to automate will have a gain plugin last thing in the chain. As you can see here, absolutely all of them have got it on there. And that just means that I can go in and I can pick one that's got some gain plugin on it, for example, and I can just say, right, automation, I'm going to automate this gain here. And as I bring that down or bring that up, it's still going to give me control over the fader. It doesn't mean that I'm going to lose control of that fader. I'm still going to have complete control over it, but it's going to achieve the same thing. Another little trick you can do is you can automate the gain before it goes into a compressor. So you can put that gain plug-in perhaps first in the chain or before a compressor, and that means that you're going to raise the level going into a compressor so you can get a bit more punch out of it. Maybe a master bus, when a chorus comes in, you can just automate that gain up 2 decibels so it punches into that compressor a little bit more. That's handy. The next one is something that I kind of showed you then but didn't really explain, and this is using the Marquee tool to create straight lines in automation, and it's really handy for just moving sections up and down. One thing that I see too often is that people will go into the T menu, they'll select the pencil tool, they'll go on to whatever it is that they want to automate, the gain for example, and they'll say, right, let's draw a dot there, let's draw a dot there, a dot there, a dot there, then let's go to our normal tool, and then we're going to try and drag that up. That's so time consuming. Why would you ever do that? Let's get rid of that. If you have your Marquee tool on your secondary tool, which I, as standard, kind of do all the time, then when you press Command, it will bring up the Marquee tool. Okay, so we're going from a normal mouse to the Marquee tool. If you wanted to turn up, for example, just this bit here, just this long note, I'm going to hold Command to get my Marquee tool there. I'm going to draw a box around it and then just go up or down or whatever it is. And you can do that so quickly. You can do that for specific words, and that will get your workflow going so much quicker when you're editing vocals, for example. Or even if you want to do it on, I don't know, let's say drums. Let's say you've got one snare hit so this one looks a bit louder than everything else. So we can go into our gain, we can select just that one drum hit, if it will select it, and then say, right, bring that one down a little bit. That one's a bit too quiet. Let's bring that one up a little bit. So it's such an easy way of actually grabbing stuff and saying, right, this is just that one automation bit that I want to affect. I'm not going to go into my pencil tool and draw 4 lines for each one. I'm just going to hold Command on my Marquee tool and just draw a line across there, and it's going to make it so much easier. For me, that was when I actually started using automation, because it became easy. Automation became the thing that I could actually do now, instead of it being that sort of fearful thing. Yeah, I could do it, but it's complicated, isn't it? It's not. It's brilliant. The next one is kind of little known, but I find it to be such an incredibly important part of automation for me in a mix. Let's say on this kick trigger track, I want to go and I want to automate the, I don't know, let's say we want to automate the high end. Well, I would go into that and I would say, okay, so in this particular one, it's a Slate Digital plugin, so it's the high frequency, so it's going to be my high frequency gain. Right, so I'm going to have to go into my virtual mix rack, it's on slot B, and then I'm going to have to go into it, and it's just a bit of a pain. What you can do is you can go into mix, and this checkbox here, auto select automation parameter in read mode. And that means that when you've got your automation engaged in read, this says gain at the moment. As soon as I click this parameter, bang, it's changed it. As soon as I click this parameter, it's changed it. As soon as I click that parameter, it's changed it. It makes it so that it automatically selects whichever parameter it is that you're working on. Such a handy thing to be able to do, to actually flip between all these controls and settings, because let's face it, Logic, although it's absolutely fantastic and automation is such a cool thing to be able to do in it, and it makes a lot of things so easy, the one thing that I find that is annoying about automation in Logic is having to go through this menu and having to go through all my plugins, especially if I've got one that has a lot of parameters. Slate Digital Trigger is the worst for this, because look at all these. If I just want to automate one parameter on channel 6 or on the global parameters, I've got to go all the way down. It's just an absolute nightmare. Instead of going through all this and then going to my output mix, for example, I can just go in there and select volume, for example, and it'll put it there. Or I can select how much this one wants to be turned up, the channel volume. Such a handy thing to be able to do. It kind of gets around that long-winded way of doing things. The next one is again going to that T menu, and it's just pressing T and selecting my automation curve tool. Now, if you're like me, you love your shortcuts. I think a lot of Mac people do. And I love being able to just press TW in quick succession, go into my automation curve tool. And then when we've got something that so if we've got this, for example, we've got the Marquee tool, we've gone and we've drawn that rectangle. If we take one of those in, then we can press TW and we can just curve this. That's sometimes quite handy if you want to make it a little bit more of a gentle curve. It doesn't want to be a straight line. It doesn't want to be just like a diagonal line. You can do it really easily. So this T menu is so handy for that. And then if you want to delete your automation, you can just press T and you can press U and you can select your automation. Select all the automation and let's get rid of it. Talking of deleting automation, finally, let's look at how we can get rid of all of our automation points that aren't doing anything. If you're anything like me, you like to keep a clean shop. You like to make all your sessions as streamlined as possible. You like it so that if it's doing something, it stays. If it's doing nothing, it goes. What I often end up with is a load of points. So I have automation points here, I have automation points there. I might have tried to use them for something and then I didn't end up using them, so I reset them back to where they wanted to be. You can use a command called delete all redundant automation points. You just press Control and backspace, and it will delete all those redundant points. It will get rid of all the points that you're not actually using in the project, and I will do that periodically because if I'm into the automation section of my mix, then there's a pretty good chance I'm going to have some stuff in there that I tried and then didn't like. So it just means that it makes everything a lot clearer. It means that you've not got loads of little dots, loads of little circles there where you don't actually need them. It means you can just get rid of them all, and it makes everything a lot cleaner. There we go then. Loads of tips for automation in Logic there. Is there anything that you use that you think I should know about? I love automation in Logic, but I will be the first to admit I don't know absolutely everything about it. Drop something in the comments if there's something you think I should know about there, if there's something that you think I've missed or a better way of doing what I've been doing. Make sure you follow me on Instagram. The link is below. Loads of great stuff going on there at the moment. And if you are interested in drum samples, make sure you check the description below. I've got a free snare pack up on my website, as well as a full rock snare pack 1, where you've got loads of different tunings, multi-velocity stuff, loads of instruments. Fantastic. Some hard-hitting snare samples there. Thanks a lot. Make sure you hit like. Make sure you hit subscribe. I'll see you next time. Thanks a lot.